Hi, welcome to Building SaaS with Python and Django. My name is Matt Lehman, and on this stream we work on Django apps. We're going to continue on my homeschooling application. Last week we started a project to update the sign-in process and how the onboarding flow works with the app. We've got a good chunk of that work done. We did some simplification to the sign-up so that you only have to sign in with email, and the actual login will be done via a magic link that's sent to your email account. And we tested most of that functionality out. I'm pretty happy with where that ended up. But we're going to continue on that. There's more to do. So first things first, though, we've got to fix up the pull request. There's some changes that happen with this branch that we created, and it didn't quite work. And we didn't actually push this up until after the stream, so missed the opportunity to correct the fixes. But it's I think it'll be pretty easy to run. We can locally try this out and fix it up and get that going, and then move on to the next thing. So what we're going to do here, and we're going to do it from, oh goodness, these are not the right repositories. Let's close that tab, All right, now we've got the homeschool app up, and let's source this. I guess we don't need to source it, but we will, because I'm going to open up my editor here, because we're going to make some changes. And then over here, we need to run the command that was broken. So make mypy, that's what's running on the server, and it's running the code through the static analysis checker. And there was some stuff that was failing. It had to do with packages that we added that we need to handle, and wasn't happy with those. And once we do that, it should be fine. So basically, I'm going to tell, I think what's happening is that both the anymail package and the Django Sesame package they're older packages, and neither of them have type annotations on them. So mypy cannot figure out what the types are supposed to be, and it's complaining, saying hey, I can't figure this out. So what we need to do is go to a mypy configuration, which I believe will now be in the py project file. Consolidate all of our configuration down there. And if we go to the mypy section, there's this mypy overrides. We have a module here that lets us pick which things that we want to ignore. So we now have an anymail import, and that can go right in this list. So let's just say anymail, and I guess I'm going to ignore all of it. So we're going to do anymail.star to say everything under there is no good. So let's run it and make sure we're on the right track. That should get rid of the first message here. And yeah, we're down to the Sesame import as well. So very easy little fixes to make before we move on. I just wanted to get to a clean slate so that we're not dealing with a bunch of errors late in the game when we actually decide to merge this change in. So that should do it. All right, so let's commit this code. Let's say update mypy and push that up. I was looking at this change set from last time and thinking, should we go ahead and deploy this? Because we are at a pretty clear stopping point where we could actually get this change out and deploy it. So maybe that's the next thing to do before we move on to the next feature, because then that will leave the smaller difference between the two branches. But I don't think we're quite done with the sign-up feature. There were a couple things that I think I might have forgotten that we want to work through. We did all of these things. That's all good. I think the thing that I want to do, though, is move. So we have the login page. That's good. But we have the log out page coming into a certain spot, and I don't think that's what I want. So let's show what I mean, and so show how we can want to change it. Because my goal with this change is to make it so you don't really ever have to think about log in, log out as much as possible. You'll sign into the application. I've set the session lifetime to be 1 year. So like many services that you use, the example I used last time, even though I ironically don't really like this site very much, but I have to use it for work, is LinkedIn. Every time I go to LinkedIn, it's just always logged in. And that's sort of the experience that I want to be able to replicate. So let's go over to localhost, take a look. We've got our login here. Let's follow the process. Let's log in. What do we call this? We call the user sign in, I think. And we'll do that. It's going to check us, send us to the email. Let me read this. Okay, cool. Then we're going to go, oh, right, we've got to update some stuff here. That's going to get annoying every time we work on this app to have some. So we're going to make a couple of changes here, but we'll get there. So we're going to go over here. We'll paste this in. But we have to change example.com to localhost 8000 before this will work. So we'll do localhost 8000, and that should log me in. All right, we're logged in. Now, what do I want to change? The change I want to make is we've got a logout button here. I don't really like the fact that this footer is changing, whether you're logged in or logged out. That was where just a place that I put this, but I think I want to move it over to here. I want to have the logout be a setting option that is on this app. So we're going to find logout, logout. Did I spell it? Nope, must have done capital O, which would make sense. Logout, so that's in the base template here. It's notice that it is a form. It only shows up when you're authenticated, but we're going to move it to a settings page, and that should be, where is the settings? Let's go find that. Project URLs, settings. There's a settings URLs here. It's under the users app. Would not have guessed that. So let's go to the users app and look at the views that are here. We have the settings dashboard. Settings dashboard. So none of that matters. Like the only setting we have on here is this one checkbox. I'm going to put a form down here, which will actually send us to a different place to log out. But what is important to note here is the only way to get access to this page is to be authenticated. So this decorator here is saying that anything is authorized. There's no specific authorization check here, but you must be authorized. So it's versus my tool that I use, Django denied, would say allow if it was open to unauthenticated requests. So that's nice in the fact that when we put in the logout button that we want to put on the page, we don't have to wrap it in the user is authenticated check. So let's find the settings dashboard, right? Settings dashboard files. So templates, settings dashboard. There it is. And let's put this logout button after the billing section. So we've got this billing section here. There's a bunch of different states on it. And I want to take what's right here and take it and plop it down right there. Okay. So we've got this. Like I said, we don't need to have the authentication check. So now we've got our form class. It's inline. It's posting to the logout URL. So it's doing what we expect it to do. It's going to look wrong though. So let's refresh this page and you'll be like, oh, yuck. So this doesn't have the right styling. We want it to look like a button. So we'll find the update button and steal essentially all of the text there. In fact, this is a form. It's of the type. So I think we can do this. We'll paste that here. So it's still a type submit, and then we'll change the text to be log out. We may need to do a little bit more to give it the appropriate amount of spacing, because right now it looks like tied in with the billing section. I don't really want that. So let's take this and we'll do a div with, is this stuff wrapped in a div? No, it's not. All of these little paragraph tags. Phooey. That's not really what I would like. Preferably, so see how this is like margin bottom 8, margin bottom 8. They're kind of like pushing down. I want to be consistent with that. So an easy way to do that is to wrap all of this stuff in a div and say class margin bottom 8 here, and we'll have the closing div, and we'll take this and we'll put it after all of these paragraph tags. So that way, and then I guess technically to have it on the right level, we could indent all of this stuff. Okay. So now we don't need an extra div tag there, although maybe we should for display purposes. I don't know yet. So that moves it down. Maybe that's good enough. Let's try. I really don't want it to feel like billing information. So let's go to something bigger than MB8. Let's try 12, 16, I don't know. We'll go bigger and bigger for a little while. I'm going to go another, so like double the M, so really separated. Does that look weird now though? What if we put a horizontal line or something? Did a HR. How's that going to look? Whoa, yuck. Yuck, yuck, yuck. It's so small, you can't even tell. HR, class, max width, medium. I think that's how you, I think that might be wrong. Medium? Small? I don't know, let's start with that. And then we can add in some space, some padding here of MB4. The space is the button out. That looks a little weird. I want the max width to match up with the whatever's constraining here. So this has got, there are no constraints. Oh, that's the problem. So it's just, stuff just happens to fit in this section. All right, we'll go to Tailwind and do a little Command K here and say max width and medium, MD. I don't know why I thought it was MED. Everything's like 2 letters. So let's try that. MD. And there's got to be some tools for horizontal lines or something. HR. Oh, really? How do we make that thicker? Nope, that's not what I wanted. Chat GPT. In Tailwind, CSS, how do I make an HR thicker? Border. Let's just do, okay, just a border class. We did border 2, then it might give some visual separation there. Ooh, but that looks gross. It's probably super thin. Okay, that's good. Then let's change this to, let's say, large. I am not using Tailwind 4 yet. So divide Y? Is that a new thing? Divide application dividers. Ooh. Thanks, Igor. Let me check out what's possible here. Dividers. What is this? Oh, it's a component. Huh. So how are they configuring that, I wonder? Let's I think the nice part is we should just be able to, or is it, they have, yeah, they've got their component thing, which is, can I inspect this? Like, why does it say get the code? They kind of mask all their classes and stuff because they don't want you to steal, because they want you to pay for the components. So not sure what LA ABF is supposed to mean. There's okay. I like the bit of obfuscation there. It's a good on them. So interesting thought. I think I'll just try and settle for some max width here. Let's give it a color while we're at it. So we have some colors on the site. Generally, I'm sticking with like just blue with some, I had some yellow highlights on, where are they? Will they show up somewhere? I'd have to have some reports. I don't really want to like create a bunch of data just to show all this stuff off. Let's poke around. Kai, thanks for the thumbs up. Welcome. Yeah, phooey. Okay, I can't get a quick visual, but let's do the inspect to find this color. Whoa. It's been so long since I've worked on this app, I don't remember what colors I used. So we'll do inspect and BG blue 700. Okay, let's try that on our border, see how that comes out. BG blue 700. Okay, we'll return to the settings. Oh, that's not, maybe it's not a background color at all. Is it just color if you don't do the background? Text color? Border color? Oh, it's probably, yeah, it's a border, right? So we would put, instead of BG, we would do border blue 700, I think. Let's get rid of this. How does that look? Yeah, oh, that's too dark. Holy moly. But maybe now we don't need, well, let's take a look at our border utility, see what's available. Border width, is there something smaller than border? That's like, is there a fractional amount? Because we have border one, like the just border is given the basics. Does anything go smaller than that? What if I get rid of border entirely? Will it still even work? Or is it going to go back to gray? Ah, okay, that's a little thinner. That feels decent. Still feels like, I think if I remember correctly, it might be hard to see, but I think there's like a slightly different color on this. This thing has a different base color. Yeah, border blue 400. And I think I use that because this looks dark when you have it on that so thin. So let's try the 400. Well, it's just meant to be like a little accent color. Okay, that's feeling pretty good, maybe. Let's give it a bit more space. Let's maybe try, let's move it up to 300 since the difference is like this one's anchored to a darker blue that's with it. So what if we like really go light on the blue to make it feel faded out? Like I want it to be pretty subtle. How's that gonna look? Yeah, that's not too bad. Maybe a little bit tighter. Okay, and then as a final touch, I think now that we have a separator, I don't think we need to be like way out there. In fact, we might even want to, so there's like a spacing here, we might even want to return to 8 now that there's like a section separator here. Yeah, that feels good. So now we've got like this settings section. Although I'm noticing, like, look, see the height of my, and it's not pointing, the width, the spacing here kind of maps pretty closely to my mouse cursor. I don't know if you can tell. And then when I go up to here, it's clearly like bigger than that width of that mouse cursor. So I think something about, maybe it's because of the hover setting here. So I might actually want to, while we're inside of here, bring this a little tighter. Even though like it's probably the right number, like from a pure perspective, but like just the fact that this has text and this has that hidden spacing, it feels like this feels more spaced out than this building, because it truly is. Like when you're not hovering, it doesn't show like this all the time, right? So what if we try to go to the settings here and change this to a 6? Now it has a little, maybe a 4? Yeah, that's starting to feel right, because look, now I got the height, and it's hard to, I'm having a hard way of like showing, looking for that vertical stroke on that mouse cursor where it comes to a point. The vertical part is what I'm using as like my measuring tool here. There's probably better ways to measure this, but if I just kind of do an eyeball test of putting this spacing and this spacing together, they seem about equal now. It feels a little tighter. And then when you hover over it, okay, of course it gets a little smaller, but most of the time you're not hovering over it. So that feels right to me. So now we've got a logout button. We want to go over, save the base. So that gets rid of this stuff down here. So it's just, these are now like the same all the time. We have our logout. It should work. So we can test it while we're here. Logout. Whoa. That is not where we want to send people. Yeah, that's terrible. So I don't want to send people to an admin page for sure. The users should never see this page. So we got to find a better place to send them. I'm glad I stumbled into that. Okay. So what do we need? Project settings, log. So there's a log in. I think there's also a log out redirect URL, if I recall correctly. And I want to send people to just the index. So let's try that. So we will restart the app. I'm pretty positive this is the name of their setting. I could be wrong, but let's begin with that. Okay, so the app is restarted. We are going to go back to the login, and we've got this page. We'll do the same user account, sign in with testing. I forgot to do all right, before we do this, let's go fix the admin, or sorry, the site host is here. We're going to go to localhost office, and the local account is called Matt, and it's got some junk password, I think. What we want to go down to, what I'm trying to correct is when it submits that email, I want to be able to just like click that link. Right now we can't do that. So we're going to go to the sites section. There's a site configured here, and we're going to change this to be, domain name is going to be localhost port 8000, and we'll just, for the sake of it, add the symmetry here. It doesn't matter. We're not using the display name anywhere. That's okay. So now we've got localhost port 8000, and we can close the incognito. We can hit this button. Now I'm going to go over here. There it goes. Okay. Took a second for UE to catch it, but notice the link here is now localhost 8000. So I should be able to, now I can right click, and it highlighted everything appropriately, and I can say open selection as URL, and boom, I get logged in immediately, which is cool. Okay, the thing we need to check though is that, did I get the logout redirect URL correct? Let's go to the settings, let's click this button, and hopefully we end up back at the index page. All right, good. So, I feel pretty good about that set of changes. That moves the logout to a better place. It updates the settings page to be a bit more, have a better look and feel, and have the logout link itself. And then we confirm that the behavior is right, which is the most important aspect of if somebody clicks logout. I don't want them to ever know that this is a Django site, so that's good. We'll say update logout link location. All right. Now, the question is, am I going to be able to deploy this? Because when I was on this machine a little while ago, something about Docker got messed up, and it wasn't letting me install Docker anymore. And Docker is how I deploy. So if I don't have Docker on this machine, I'm going to have a hard time like actually deploying from this Mac, which is stupid, since this is where I do the lion's share of work for this project. So I think we have to go fix that. I'm going to let this run in the background. Hopefully everything is happy, hunky-dory, once with all the tests. So let's make sure that we can get Docker running. I think what did I install? I can't remember if I'm just supposed to install like a latest version of Docker. Don't remember. Or if there was some weird setting that I was supposed to do. Phooey. Let's go check out Docker and see what's going on. So, because it was complaining about it being, it was thinking, oh, I remember what happened. I was on a version of Mac OS and it was complaining. And when I did the research, it was like I found stuff that linked to that particular version. But then I upgraded, so now I'm on Sequoia 15.3. So now I think I might be on a version that is not going to complain about Docker anymore. So, but I still have to go reinstall it, or maybe I already have. Hey, there it is. Let's try it from here. So now that we have the Docker image, because what happened is almost immediate. Like it was saying, like, we think that this thing is not safe. And it's almost, I thought it was like a virus. And maybe some people think it is virus. I won't comment on that. But what I'm going to do is try and install Docker again. And hopefully it will just copy and be happy and not give me any more grief about not thinking it's valid, because that was annoying. Because it was fine for, I don't know, months and months. And then it got angry. All right, so we've added it to applications. Let's go to launch it now. I do expect it to say, like, you've downloaded this from the internet. You sure? So let's try running it. Verifying Docker. Yeah, it's downloaded from the internet. I trust Docker, this company anyway. And we wait. I don't know. What's it doing? Let's check the processes. Is it running? So we've got, I'll check by name. Sort these. Is there a Docker process running somewhere? Docker. Hello. Are you actually running? What? I should be able to run something like here, right? Docker PS. Okay, so it thinks the Docker daemon's not running, but I definitely ran it. I'm gonna try clicking it again. Maybe it needs a second. Maybe the first one was to give it permission and now it'll run? I don't know. Weird. Weird. Do I have to accept something? Buoy. This stuff is way harder than it should be. So let's go to applications. Sometimes I feel like I've had to like run these differently when it's the first install. Like if we right click, well, it doesn't seem to be there. There used to be like open with, and open with on some applications would do something, some other behavior. I don't know why it's not running. That's weird. You can't open the application because it's not responding. Well, thanks for that, Docker. What do we do? How about we kill this one? Maybe it didn't have permission the first time and then it just got stuck. I don't know. I'm gonna quit here. I won't force quit yet. Let's give it a second and see if it's happy. Oh, okay. So that went away. Good. Let's try running it again. There. Good question, John. I don't really know. I mean, maybe there's some logs we can check. I would have expected up here, there's like normally there's like a little Docker whale tray icon that appears. So what's going on? Docker PS. Phooey. Okay, let's do a little quick searching. Docker. So you can see my search results. Docker damaged. Like it was reporting as damaged. But this is a different install, so that shouldn't be the issue. Docker Mac OS 15.3 not running. The daemon. Command space Docker. Do I run? I don't even. John, what is desktop version? Oh, no, desktop. Okay. Yeah, this is Docker desktop. I went and downloaded. I mean, I guess I could try and a new download. Maybe I have a older image. This is now a couple weeks ago, I think, when I tried this. Uninstalled it. So this person trying it on Intel, or I'm not an Intel chip, so there's a difference right there. Let's see. What is this check shell thing that they're running? I don't know what that is. Maybe it's for their, I don't know what this is actually. So this is the official Docker team. This is, I assume, for Mac is like their Mac installation. Bug reports for Docker desktop for Mac. Okay, I feel like I'm in the right place. The output of check shell. Okay, let's see. Oh, here we go. Whoops. This is a thing that I was seeing. So there's a bunch of like advice here. They've got a little, oh my word, this is so annoying. Docker desktop is not affected by malware. Yeah, no kidding. The release for this warning in some files is incorrectly signed. Well, okay, so they screwed up their signing stuff. That's what I'm reading about this. So to determine if you need to re-download, okay, I don't want to determine. Let's just do it. Let's like maybe get a different version and download it. Yeah, John, so actually that was my action. My primary action was like I was on the 14. whatever version and I updated to Sequoia just to try and get around this Docker issue. So we're going to try it again. What we're going to do here is I'm going to first uninstall Docker. So actually, very first thing is like, I think I probably have this still mounted. So let's eject Docker. Okay. Now over here, I want to, the uninstall process is always annoying because it's like, I think I have to unhide. So my dock settings, I need to like, I've got have it set to automatically hide. This is why I find it annoying. It's like the way to throw something away is to put it in the trash, but I can't see the trash most of the time. I'm going to take Docker, drag it to the trash, and throw it away. Oh, okay. Something, get out of here. Okay, maybe the process is still running. Okay, let's stop the process. Quit this. Oh, minimizing firewalks, minimize my chat. Annoying. Okay. So we should have Docker's like closed now. That's what it meant by open, I think, is the process was running. I should be able to drag this to the trash. All right, we've removed Docker. So let's go ahead and go get this version. This is what I thought I downloaded. This is the challenge with this. Is like I don't look at the, if you see, it's probably too hard, very hard to see on this, but the URL for this is docker.dmg. So it's going to give me a DMG file. So I don't know which version I'm downloading, but hopefully it's one that actually has signing in it. Now, thankfully, I'm also on a better internet connection, so this won't take forever and a day. I think I've mostly resolved my internet connectivity woes. So we're going to get this going, and then we'll try and install it, and hopefully they've signed this version properly. If they haven't, I don't know what they're doing. Seems like this is a fixable thing. While it's doing that, let's go back to the settings, and I want to re-hide my dock. I really don't like having the dock up. So let's resize that. Okay, so now we're going to do, it's this Docker 2. So I've got multiple of them. I'm going to take the same thing, drag it over. And it's going to expand it again. I think, was the other one 1.81? Maybe it's new. I don't know. Wasn't paying close enough attention. Wasn't trying to memorize all of this stuff. So we should be able to, in theory, what the hell is this? Image Playground? Is this an iOS thing or a Mac OS thing? It's a weird cat. That's so strange. Must be a Mac thing. Okay, whatever. Verifying Docker. It's going to prompt me to say, like, do you trust this? I'm going to say yes. Open. Nope. All right. So sad. So sad. How do we get Docker logs? Okay, well, whatever. I think we're at a bloat. Yeah, that's totally right, John. I think we can take this shell text file and let's take a look at it. I want to see what's in there. This is like kind of scenario where I'm not sure I want to just blindly run stuff from the internet, especially when it comes to like security sort of stuff. So let's go to downloads, and it was the check, right? ls check. All right, what do we got in here? Got a code sign thing and OpenSSL. It's gonna look at the contents. Okay, this is actually good. I don't even have to give it a path because they baked that in here. Should be the exact same. And it's gonna run these things. Okay. And checking that the certificate's valid. Okay, fine. So let's rename. Let's move check to check shell, although that doesn't really matter. There's a shebang in it. And we want to do a chmod plus x on the check shell. And I think we can just run it like this. So, according to this, it is signed with the correct certificate. So what does that mean? What's the next step? The script will exit with 0 if the certificate is valid. And it did, because I got my little green arrow. Or I can echo $? And we can see that the last command was a success. So that's good. I can verify. So we can do this guy. You can also verify library privilege helper tool. So I think we want to do all of these, both of these. So let's try this one first. Failed to extract. Failed to extract certificates. Well, what the heck? You have to re-download and reinstall Docker Desktop. Well, you all watched me do it. Like, I literally didn't have these files in here. Maybe it's, maybe those files aren't there at all. Let's see. ls library, privileged helpers. What's in here? Nothing, right? Okay, that doesn't seem good. Seems like it should have installed some stuff, but it didn't. I wanted to do a long. Use the brew version? Yeah, it's probably not a bad path. The other option is something else that Docker does for teams of a certain size. They want you to start paying money, right? So my company didn't want to do that. There is another tool. It's called Rancher. Docker Rancher. So Rancher, I can't remember who it's maintained by. But it's basically designed to get around the desktop stuff from Docker. And if Docker can't keep their junk together with this, yeah, Ron, I have so this machine has been rebooted since I've actually been rebooting between each stream because I realized like I'm only really using this computer for the stream most of the time, so there's not really much sense to keeping it on all week. So it does get a reboot, which is why I have to get my shell updated or my terminal back to where I need to be each time I'm doing a stream now. So I think that may not be the issue here. So I can do, okay, so what are our options, I guess? John mentions doing Docker from Brew. I don't know necessarily how that's, I mean, I guess it could be different packaging and might do it right. That's one possibility. And then there's this Rancher option. Let's go to what is Rancher. Oh, well, Rancher also comes with Kubernetes. Blech. But I know it works, so. Right, Ron, that was what John was saying. Like I could install Brew from, or I could install Docker from Brew. I guess my question is like, how is that different from Docker desktop? It might be. So we could try that let's try that before going down the Rancher route, because that's a different tool set. Not that I have, like I said, I use Rancher at work, so I know that it can work. But first, I guess let's go to the process tree. Hey, Amar, welcome. Yeah, appreciate the suggestions, Ron. So let's stop this guy, make it go away. We'll get rid of it. Put the dock settings back up, do this little dance again. We will unhide the dock. We'll go to Finder, close that, find Docker, drag it to the trash yet again. Okay. And then, how much memory do I have, Amar? 20? 16 gigs on this device. So I think we're good there. All right, let's hide this. Come back over here. Yeah, probably Ron. I actually, I wish. I did try it offline too. I've been having no luck with this. Funny part is like, this is not what I wanted to prioritize my time on this evening. I kind of wanted to get this chunk of work done and then play a little bit with some AI tools. So I don't know. We'll see if we get there. We'll do brew cask install Docker. That seems like the right command that Ron suggested. We'll see how that goes. Whoops. Brew cask is no longer a brew command. Brew install cask Docker. Sure, try that. Now the question is like, how much of a universe is it going to install? Sometimes it does like way more than I want to. And look at that. All right, check that out. It's doing a download of the Docker DMG from desktop.docker.com. So there's a possibility that what we're about to hit here is going to be the exact same thing. So I'm gonna keep an open mind, but we'll go through this. And if it doesn't work, we'll do Rancher. Rancher should be able to do what we want. The other bit of this is, so I'm using Kamal to do deployment, and it will do, that needs Docker, is it BuildX or DockerX? I can't remember which one it's called. To kind of like allow you to build Docker images in sort of a pristine environment, sort of what it does. I think it might be BuildX. So hopefully this has that tools built in. Otherwise, we'll end up in another spot where we can't do what I want to do. And we'll just keep marching down of like what's actually needed. I hit this with my Linux box. So I have a new Linux machine, and I had installed Docker, and I needed to go install again, Docker X BuildX. What is it? Okay, gotta look it up now. Docker BuildX. BuildX. Okay, it's like a separate command thing. What? Ah, boo. Boo. There's already a Docker? From what? Which Docker? Why are you here, Homebrew? Why do I have more than one Docker? Okay. Y'all know how to start the daemon, Docker daemon as a background thing if you're not using Docker desktop? Any feedback there? It's been a while since I didn't have Docker running through a non-desktop means. Looking at the commands. Doop-a-doop-a-doo. Run Docker daemon command line CLI. Well, John, yeah, I still saw the comment, but look, that's what I don't get is if you see the bin, it's from Homebrew. So I don't think that's going to be like the Docker desktop version. I don't know what it's complaining about there. There's some mixed stuff here. Docker D. Okay. All right, so let's open up a new tab over here. I mean, I guess I probably could put it in the background, but let's leave it in the foreground for now. No Docker D. What the heck? What is going on, y'all? Brew search Docker D. Docker. Oh gosh. Brew Docker daemon. Brew Docker D. Homebrew formula. Brew installed Docker. Fine. Docker. Okay. Maybe ChatGPT is enough here. Can I run Docker D via a brew install Docker? No. Oh my word. Manually run Docker D using build kit. What the heck? Why is this so freaking hard? So I can get the Docker CLI tools from Brew apparently, but not the daemon. Okay, I think I'm willing to try Rancher at this point. So let's try it. Loom up. Okay. Yeah. That's remove Docker. Start there, make sure we're actually getting everything uninstalled. I would hope that it would be easy, but well, okay. The problem is you have to be able to get to the menu. Can't even get to the menu, it won't start. I did drag that to the trash, so all right, let's try this. Let's install it and then uninstall it and maybe install it again. Maybe it'll help, it'll like, the thought process here being if it's installed and we run the uninstall script, maybe it cleans up whatever garbage has been left in the state here. And so I'm going to do this, just do this dance a couple more times and hope this works. So I'm going to install, I'm going to start it up, I'm going to watch it fail, I'm going to stop the process, I'm going to run that uninstall script and see that it cleans up or not. Hopefully it does clean up. Then we install again, and with any luck, maybe that will just like do the thing. This is the reality of like doing real software projects. I guess, you know, if you're new to the stream, I try and do every bit, well, not this project in particular, but my Journey Inbox project, every line of code I do on the stream. And I do a lot of the code for the homeschool application on the stream as well. And sometimes the stuff's just like not glamorous, right? That's just the reality of software development. But it's a good learning process. So we will stop this process. We're going to let it go away. Yeah, Ron, you're right. It is a commitment. It means I'm way slower on this project than maybe I would like to be, but that's how it goes. Okay, let's take this. Let's make sure that this thing is unmounted. So we now are like back to the basics. We should be able to, from this command line, run application Docker contents macOS uninstall. iTerm, yes, allow, go ahead. Uninstalling Docker desktop. Mar, you're right. I mean, we do waste time as software engineers, that's for sure. But we also get a lot of time too. Like, you know, software automation, I've done things that have helped hundreds of thousands of people, like on a annual basis. So I know that the work that I'm doing does have outsized impact. Not through this project. This project is much smaller, but we do go through some garbage sometimes. What is it doing? Why is it taking this long? All right. So it's part of the process. I think it's part of the process and wasting time. Like it's legitimately like we're sitting here waiting for a program to run. We are learning things. So yeah, from that sense, it is part of the process and there's some value in it. But then there's also there's some waste. I think it can be both. And I don't think it's necessarily bad that we're going through this process. Let's see. While that's running, I'm going to let it run and assume that we're not dealing with a halting problem here, that it actually will complete at some point. Let's talk about something else that I want to do ideally. So I've been learning about AI stuff for work. My job wants me to be incorporating more AI, so I've been digging into all of these AI tools that are out there and trying to figure out how can we, as the healthcare company that I'm working at, make good use of AI in our product. And, you know, of course, that looks like chatbots and things and other stuff. But the big thing that I have very little experience with, well, I have a lot of I'm lacking a lot of experience with using AI as a like implementing and integrating it into an actual product. So what I want to do is get local AI on this machine, some kind of AI model, and then run an agent tool. And I'm going to give that like 5 minutes. If it's not done, I'm going to call it quits. This really should be like deleting files and you should be done. So there's something weird, something very strange going on there. So anyway, the tool that I want to use, let's start with that. I installed this last week on my Linux laptop, so I'm not going to go super in depth into the documentation. It's a pretty slick tool. This is Ollama. It's a way to essentially fire up a little server, and the server it's a little Go process. It's a written in Go, and it knows how to talk, like get an AI model. So there's a CLI that comes with this. There's a Ollama is the CLI tool that you get, and you can have a Ollama serve, and that's the thing that's the Go web server. It's a little web server, and the web server has the API that is like what OpenAI, the company, has as their API. And it seems like the software industry is sort of gravitating towards, we will use that as our standard for now, because they're one of the leaders, and just that's what other companies started to do for compatibility. So Ollama, as a tool that has this API, can behave as if you've got a little open AI thing on your machine, or whatever model you have. In fact, I probably will get DeepSeek R1 because that's what I was using last time. So what I want to do, gosh, that is annoying. I'll actually just leave that running a little bit while we're doing this. So we're going to get Ollama, and then we're going to get a model, and we will do a prompt. So Ollama also comes with like a CLI interface, or if you wanted to, like we're doing over here with ChatGPT, wherever it is, one of these tabs. Here it is, or that's one of them. When you prompt it, you can have that conversation, and so that will work. Yeah, just go with that. So, yeah, Amara, I have mixed feelings about the DeepSeek thing too. I know that I have, when it's running locally, it is just a model with weights. So yes, I will acknowledge right up front that there are things about DeepSeek that are crappy. Like, you can't ask about Tiananmen Square and get a real answer. That's stupid. The fact that they are still hiding that aspect of their history. I don't think it'll let you ask questions like about Xi Jinping. There's weird restrictions. I think that company has those restrictions because those are the laws out of China. I won't get too into the political commentary there. But we're going to run a local model, and the local model does not phone home anywhere. I could prove it by inspecting network traffic, but it doesn't. But there's also other available models, and we'll see how easy it is to actually go get a model. Basically, I think you say like pull, Ollama pull, and that's all you have to it. So if you don't want to use DeepSeek, I understand. I have nothing against that. But there's great other ones. There's Llama, Gemma, all the, some, and they have different purposes. So in fact, if you go and look at their models page, you can see what the different models are good at. And the reason I went on pull DeepSeek is it's like a good approximation for OpenAI 01 without paying a cost of 01. So it's a good kind of like demonstration tool. So let's start by downloading for Mac and do this. Oh, interesting. So the Windows or the Linux version was a curl to a shell prompt, and this is something different. So we will see how this goes. It's a zip file. I don't actually know what they're doing here. I assume it's also another binary. Don't really know. Should be fun to play with though. So open up the zip. Oh wow, look at that. Is it just like an application that we just drop in there? What happens if, okay. I am very curious about how this is going to run now. Drag to applications? And then try running Ollama. What's that going to do? Because if it's like a CLI, what will this do? Okay. Ollama. Well, this is a totally different experience from what I had. The version I got on the Linux machine was a CLI. And it says login item Adam. Ollama will open automatically when you log in. You can manage extensions in the login items and extensions. Okay, this is good about. All right. So we're under general. All right, so if I change my mind and I don't want Ollama running, then I can turn that off. Okay, interesting. Let's go. Install the command line. Yep, we definitely want that. So I gotta type in a password here. I'm gonna just put this over this way just for a moment. I don't really, you wouldn't see anything here, but just so I'm not revealing any kind of information, did that. So, all right, we could run this as our next thing. So presumably what's happened here is that Ollama serve, which I mentioned is like the server, is now part of this like login thing. That actually did happen to me on my Linux setup. It created a system control file and it automatically started the process. The challenge is I wanted to see the output, and actually I might remove this as well from the login thing and be able to just run Ollama serve as a local process. Let's take a look actually. So I'm going to follow suit with what John noted here. You're probably right, John, that I probably need to run this with sudo. We'll do applications doc. Maybe it just doesn't have permissions to run this. Let's see if this will make it go away. Might run faster, or might actually get it done this time. We'll let that run again. And then I'm going to open a new tab and see if Ollama, there it is. We got Ollama here as the command. So we should be able to say Ollama help. And you can see there's a handful of commands here. Ollama serve, so on and so forth. So actually, let's look at the process tree and see if we can find Ollama already running. It is. So that login thing is running this right now. And that's what I don't like about this. Is like, there was actually something that I needed out of this when I was running Ollama serve. So I think what I want to do is I'm going to say thanks but no thanks. So let's go to the settings. Let's take this and remove it. I don't want that running. So now it shouldn't be, it won't open at login, and I don't think it'll try and restart itself. So, and then, is it still running? So I want to kill the process over here. So that process, that PID number is 5236. So we want to kill 5236. And then when we grep for this, we should only get, whoops, 5 through, why did you do that? 5, 3, 5, 6, okay. Dang it. There's something keeping it alive. So if we try and kill this one, it's gonna come right back. 5, 3, 5, 6. Yeah, it's whack-a-mole. All right, let's figure out how this thing is running. Where do we go for that? Oh goodness. How do I stop Ollama serve from restarting on Mac OS? There's probably some launch control thing. Brew services list. It's not a brew thing. Okay, you can't do that. Launch control. All right, launch control list. We're going to look for Ollama. Launch control list. Grep Ollama. There it is. All right. So, and then we want to unload this plist file. Let's copy this. Boo. Right click the llama in the bar. Oh my goodness. How about that? Thanks, Ron. I didn't even notice the thing up there. Okay, I feel dumb. I probably could have left it. The other thing about this is that it was also, by having it run somewhere else, it put, at least on the Linux version, it put the actual model files somewhere that it was hard for me to find them. Like it was somewhere under user share. Like it was a pain to find them. And when I finally ran Ollama serve locally, then it just put everything in like a Ollama directory right in my home directory. So it's much easier to find the models. Okay, so that's still running. I think that uninstall script is not working. Something's up there. Well, we'll come back to that in a minute. Yeah, you have no idea where you put your files. It bothered me that I didn't know where it was and I couldn't find it quickly. So, but yeah, and although you're on Windows, so I think if I recall reading it correctly, you might have a in your home directory, whatever the equivalent is of the home directory is, it might be a .ollama models file, a directory. Hopefully I'll be able to show that in a minute. So Ollama serve, and we should see it fire up a server here. There's really not much coming out of that yet. Hard to see because my head's in the way. So we have a server, and what port was it running on? Crap. Oh, there it is, 11.434. So we can go to localhost 11.434, and it was like API tags. Yeah, that was just one of an example of one of the calls. And here we see API tags being called. All right, so that was quick. So that's now running. And let's fire up another terminal here. So if we want to go back and we want to try, it's going to take a while to download some of these things. So let's go get a model. Look at the models. And I'm going to do, like I said earlier, I'm going to do DeepSeek run. So I'm going to say, copy this, and I'm going to paste it. And this is going to, by default, see how it's got the 7B here? So a lot of these models have a certain number of parameters that so these models get trained, and the more parameters, which is like more, I'll try and describe this a little bit better in a second. Basically, the bigger this number is, the larger the model is going to be, but also the more accurate, the better the response will be. So the 671 billion parameter model is going to be the best, but it's also going to require the most computational power, and will be the largest inside. Like if I switch to this, you can see it's 404 gigabytes. Like I'm not downloading that. That's crazy. The whole point of this is to play, not to like try and do some kind of production setup. The 7 billion parameter model is the default one here. We didn't change anything. So if we do this run command, it's going to by default get the 7 billion parameter model. If you wanted to do a different one, you would take this DeepSeek R1 and you would append colon and then whichever of these labels that you wanted, 1.5B, 8B, 14B, so on and so on. It's very similar to like Docker tags. They just followed suit with that kind of naming. Let's let that run, and it will start pulling the files down. So the Ollama server will, after it gets pulled, will have access to the model. So it kind of like loads the model into its memory, and the API is waiting for requests. And one of those requests is like something like /API/prompt, something like that. And prompt is what you're thinking of when you go to like the chat GPT kind of interface, and you've got the chance to put in your prompt, your question, and then it responds. So we'll let that run and then get that going in a minute. The parameter system is like, I'm trying to think of how to describe this. And I've sort of failed. Maybe I'll make an attempt. I've tried to explain it to other people in my family. And I will make a feeble attempt at describing it. So the parameters are like, it's a set of numbers that act as weights. So you can think of like AI models are sort of a choose your own adventure with a bunch of different paths that you can go down. And each path is weighted. So if you have a fork on the road, you can say 75% of the time go this way, 25% of the time go that way, and it will pick one of those paths. Probabilistically, it'll go this 3/4 of the time, that one 1/4 of the time, and that's a weighted parameter, basically, making some kind of decision. So the way the models work is there's basically 7 billion of those things that are weighted values that then, when input is passed in, kind of goes through this filtering system. The way that I've tried to conceptualize it, that this is where it might be a weak analogy, is if you ever watch The Price is Right, there's a game that they play called Plinko. And with Plinko, it's like a gigantic board, twice the height of a person. And then they walk up these stairs and they stand at the top and they get these little circular discs. And all along the Plinko board, which is what the audience sees, there are like pins that stick out maybe 2 or 3 inches. And at the bottom of the Plinko board, so this thing's at an angle so that you set this disc down and it will slide. It wants to slide down this board, but all these pins are in the way. And so the Plinko disc bounces between these pins kind of randomly, and it will end up somewhere at the bottom into like a different bucket. And that bucket will determine the prize that the person gets in Price is Right. Amar, thanks for joining in. So the way I've tried to describe it to my spouse is like, imagine that AI is like, or that these 7 billion parameters is like a gigantic Plinko board, and that each one of those pins has it is configured in such a way where it might nudge this way a little bit more than it nudges that way, and each one of these has their own configuration. So given a certain input, it's going to direct towards this spot over that spot probabilistically, and I think that's kind of how it works. I'm still trying to get up to speed on the math and all this sort of stuff. There's a lot to learn, but that is my crude understanding of what AI models are actually doing. It's just passing a lot of input through a gigantic matrix of numbers and trying to make probabilistic decisions on which path to pick next. If that made no sense, don't worry about it. It could be I'm off on my presentation of that concept. Ron, do I have a local web UI that I like? I don't know yet. That's a good question. Are there local? I've heard of. I got some recommendations from people in my local community. I've been going, go to a coffee shop on Saturdays to hang out with some other developers, and there was one called Studio LM or LM Studio, that was like another way to run models, but had a UI aspect to it. So yeah, but I haven't tried. I was actually not able to get that running on my Linux machine. So I didn't end up, which is why I ended up on the Ollama path. The Ollama path is very much like here's the command line tools, which is frankly my preference generally. I like working with terminal tools, but there are times where certainly having UI is nicer, especially for like presentation of Markdown and that kind of content. But my objective, really, like long term, yeah, we can do a prompt demonstration, and that'll be cool. But that is not what I really ultimately want to get to. I want to play around with some tools that I'm aware of. So there's a handful of them. Let me just get out what I think they are. So there's Crew AI is one tool. What were the other ones? There was LangChain. There was Llama Index and AutoGen from Microsoft. So I don't know a whole lot about these different tools, but they're like what I do know is that they kind of work as layers on top of an LLM. So LLM is sort of the base, and then you get this extra ability with True AI, for example. Like clearly, I'm on this website. Let's talk about it for a minute. So the idea is you have an agent, and an agent essentially, you can kind of think of it like, well, this window behaves a little bit like an agent. It's not totally true, but it's like an agent in that there's a context that can be kind of an ongoing discussion, and there's a memory to it. In a straight LLM context, you ask a question and you get a response, and it doesn't keep that memory around. Like the ChatGPT UI, the website, does keep that memory around. It passes that context back and forth a little bit. But that's something that agents can do. The agents can also be equipped with the ability to call things or do extra things that are not just LLM stuff. So if you want an agent that's able to look up the weather, I don't know, maybe that's a silly example, but something you could do. So you could configure an agent that knows how to call some kind of weather API. And maybe what you're doing as a user, you're asking this agent like, hey, what's the weather in Atlanta right now? And so they're able to parse out of that the destination and say like, oh, I am supposed to look up Atlanta, and then let me put that in the right format to make the API call. So that's a very short distilled version of what an agent could be. Within that, you can have multiple agents kind of working together as a team with different capabilities. And in each one of them is like contacting an LLM, but it's pretending to wear a different hat. Like I'm the weather API agent, and I'm the banking. I don't know. I can't come up off the top of my head with what's a good combination of agents. But you can have these agents work in tandem to do more complex operations. Like maybe one of them's doing research and pulling out some data, and one of them's getting their stuff over here. So that's one of these possibilities. Crew AI is one of these things that I'm aware of that I think started out as an open source Python project, if I recall, which is part of why I'm excited to try it, because I'm a big fan of Python. Let's validate that I'm still talking. Yeah, it's 99% Python. That I want to try and see how it goes, and then I want to play around with some of these other tools. That's the objective. Oh, cool. We've got our prompt here, so let's talk about this now. So we downloaded the DeepSeek R1 model, 7 billion parameter model, and let's try it out. So we'll see how this works. Hopefully it will use a bunch of my processors. Hopefully it won't mess too much with the stream quality. That's what I'm unaware of how to say, wait a minute, only use this many, but we'll try it. And then I tried this for the first time this past Saturday when I was taking my son to tennis. So I did a demonstration with him. I'll use the same one. I said, what are the rules for tennis? And it gave a pretty funny answer. So I think it's valuable. We'll see what it does here. So it's thinking, and it's going faster than my laptop because I think the M1 has some better stuff for this. But if we look at the CPU load, actually it's not as bad as I thought. So maybe there's something on this, some GPU accelerated chip stuff happening here that's making this work better. Huh. It is using a bunch of my memory. That is the challenge with these models, but I think we're still okay. If this goes up too much more, it's going to be kind of bad news. But it seems like it's capped out here. So it brings a bunch of this stuff in memory and asks us questions, and then processes does the actual work of the LLM. And the way the yeah, I don't have this is a Mac M1 Mini, Ron. It's not like it's not a very beefy machine. So I'm not throwing exactly like big NVIDIA GPUs at this. But the way that these models work, or at least this kind of model works, is it's mimicking the behavior of OpenAI's O1 model, which I think is called a chain of thought model. Don't verify me before you take any of these things to the bank. But the chain of thought means it's thinking before it's making its final decision. So it's kind of talking out loud, figuratively, of what does it know about tennis? What can it come up with? And you can see is like this starting tag that says think. Eventually it'll get to an ending tag. There it is. So this was its thinking section, where it's trying to think through everything that it could figure out about tennis based off of what was baked in the model. That's the reasoning aspect of this. And then it comes down to here and says like, well, here's based off of what I was able to figure out, here's the rules. So how did it do? We got singles and doubles. Okay, that's right. I actually don't know how wide the court is. That is an interesting 78-inch court, wide court. Okay, that doesn't, I don't know, is that right? It doesn't sound right to me, but we have love one. I did this last time when I did it with my son. It didn't know like 15. So it got the numbering wrong on tennis stuff. And this is where maybe if you had the like 607 billion parameter version of this, there'd be enough data like kind of like baked into that model that it could very accurately be like, here's tennis, here's how it's played, here's a bunch of stuff. But it's getting the kind of the core aspects in here. And this is the challenge with AI models, is like, in order to get good answers that are not garbage that you could feel meaningfully okay with, you have to have a certain size. So I kind of view this as, this is a good model to play with AI stuff, but it's not too much better than gibberish, because there's a bunch of mistakes in here, because it just doesn't have enough data to operate against. But it's still illustrative of what we could do. So what I would want to do from here is like, you don't have to keep running the CLI. I think I can say slash Bison, thanks for subscribing. I think I can say slash buy, and then the CLI version goes away. But over here on this side, you can see the call that we made that took that time to actually generate the response. That was the API generate. And then we had this chat, or generate might have been actually, I'm sorry, generate might be the model starting up, and then chat, yeah, that makes sense, because chat is when it's the 2 minutes and 4 seconds was the response time. So that's when it was dumping back an answer. And actually, I'm curious to go through some of this output here. So recall, we started way up here. It got the server running. And then we ran this, we hit this API ourselves when I'd randomly typed in an API that I knew of. At some point, the DeepSeek R1 downloaded, and let's see, the new model will fit in VRAM on a single GPU. Oh, okay, neat. So it sounds like it ran the stuff on a GPU, which is why we didn't see CPU. On my Linux machine, I don't have a GPU. I've got a integrated AMD chip. So the CPU, and what do they call it, an APU? What does that stand for? Application Programming Unit? It's a kind of a combination hybrid CPU GPU. But you could see the units going nutso as it was actually generating response. But here, what we were looking at, it was like basically flat the whole time. So the computation was happening somewhere else on that Mac device that doesn't seem to show up on the activity monitor. Did it show up on the energy? I didn't have the energy up, so I couldn't get an impact of that. We probably would have seen at least the energy rise, and the memory has come back down now after it was done with the model. So we've got a bunch of stuff that got loaded. I'm looking for it's hard to read through all this output. I was looking for evidence of DeepSeek R1. I'm sure it's in here somewhere. Just not. I'm not used to like looking at this output. Oh, there it is. Okay. DeepSeek R1. It's based off this like underlying Qwen model or something. QWEN. And it gives you all this like parameters about it. What are the details about this stuff? So there's a bunch of like diagnostic information. This stuff would all be hidden from you if you just ran Llama serve via that utility. And I actually like seeing this output. I think it's useful to understanding what's really going on, or at least having a better understanding. I will not confess to knowing what most of these things mean, but it starts to inform how we think about this stuff. Okay, and then that was me accidentally pasting some stuff here. So it did all this, and then we ran it. So if we wanted to run it again, we could, and this is where we could hook it up to like a Crew AI. All right, let's take a look back over here. This uninstall script has been now running like for, I don't know, 30 minutes probably. So I'm going to kill that. Maybe. What do you think you're doing? Wow, won't even let me. Well, I can nuke the tab, and that's going to kill the process. Or it should. Oh, sad. Sad that we don't have like a clear answer there on that uninstall. So let's make sure that that uninstall is not still trying to run somewhere. It is. It's now orphaned. All right. So we're going to kill -9 that sucker. 4270. 5270. Since it was clearly not going anywhere. So that's sad. We don't actually have a clean uninstall of Docker. So we will come back to this. John, was there a manual way on that page? Did I just miss it? Operations not permitted. After uninstalling, there may be some residual files that I can remove. Ah. Okay, I should get rid of these two. Manual delete. Oh, okay. Let me try that. What are the manual delete commands to uninstall Docker Desktop on Mac OS? What the heck is OSA script? Yeah, be careful indeed. Docker, caches. Those look okay. This is where I get a little like, whoa, are you sure? But Docker, that's all Docker stuff. That feels decent. What is it? Yeah, that's curious. We had another one of these that were another chat. What is OSA script on Mac OS? Oh, it's an Apple script automator. Okay, I don't know why. Why does it need to be wrapped up like this? So weird. Whatever. Let's try it out. So it's almost like it's putting in an Apple parlance for how to quit the Docker app. I think we've already done that. with killing the process that we saw over here. Like it's not, oops, it's not running anymore, or shouldn't be. But it's not going to hurt to try it again. Like there's no Docker here. So I think this should be fine to run this. Okay. So this RMRF is basically like the thing that when I've been dragging it to the trash can, it's a whole directory worth of files, basically. We'll get rid of that. All of these look okay for removal from my perspective. Try that. Operation not permitted. Why could I not remove? Well, that's silly. It was the okay. I am the super user. Do what I say. So we're going to do library containers. This is where I got to be careful. All right, get out of here. Operation not permitted. What? What? What's in that file? Yeah, reboot. Yeah, maybe. It's acting like there's not even anything in there. What's going on? It's definitely in there. Who owns this file? What the heck is going on? It's owned by me. It's owned by... Why can I not remove this file? Sudo remove. Get the heck out of here. Yes. Good. What? Yeah, Ron, I mean, you're not wrong. I think they're just like, I don't want to disrupt the stream. And it's also like, there might be, so there's probably other things we can learn here. It could be that container manager D is some process running somewhere that is like holding on for dear life. Container manager D system. There's a couple of them here. Like I'm not just gonna kill those. Kill all Docker. No matching. Yeah, so I did get rid of all the Docker stuff, as far as I know. I think Docker had it all wrapped up in pretty much one process. Okay, let's try this. Let's go over here. Let's keep going on this one. What is this? And why will Mac OS not let me delete it? Yeah, that's my streaming machine. So they are one and the same. Actually, I don't know how I would stream on two different devices like that. It'd be quite an interesting setup. Okay. The file is protected by system integrity protection. It's not buttoned by root. There's an active process lock. Okay. Let's try that. ls-l0? Is that what that is? Oh, ls-l0. L capital O. I don't know what I'm supposed to learn from that. I did attempt to remove it. What is Container Manager D? This is what I'm a little nervous about. Like, okay. Container Manager D. What do you do? Containers for applications and their plugins. Okay. I mean, I could stop it and then remove the file and then try and restart it like it suggested. I'm just worried of like, what else am I going to impact by doing that? Like, let's try it. Hopefully I don't regret this. I'm going to stop that. And then we should be able to remove this file. You jerks. Wow. That's crazy. That is one stubborn little file. That's so weird. Start that back up. There were definitely some container manager processes here. So what happens if I thought I stopped that. System daemon that manages containers or applications. Works with Sandbox and secinitd to provide application containerization. Users should not run this manually. Well, shoot. Okay. I don't know that I'm going to have much more success with this. Let's assume that we don't need to get rid of that file. Although it could be the source of the problems. So that is the risk that we're running. So I think I ran this one, right? Is that the one I copied? Yeah. So I ran this one. It got rid of a bunch of stuff. Didn't get rid of everything. We also want to, I think this list looks okay. Get rid of that, or copy that. And we'll go down here, paste this stuff in. Yeah, John, I think I'm not sure about the brew uninstalled Docker. I think my read of like what was happening there is that the brew thing that we were installing was the Docker CLI, not the Docker daemon stuff. You know, it's possible that there's something tied to that that could be a problem. Although they're suggesting doing what you're talking about too. So maybe that is the full pathway. And then restart. Ooey. Let's get rid of the network stuff. No matches. All right, that's fine. There's no network config in there. We could do, can do the brew uninstall Docker. Okay. So we have basically flushed out just about everything except for that one plist file. So I'm trying to decide if, yeah, okay, I might do this pathway one more time. If it doesn't work, I could assume that it's that file, or it could be related to that file. I guess it can never make 100% confidence claims on that, but I think we've done as much as we can manually. Let's try and install this one more time. Okay. We just wanted to deploy, man. Crazy. Yeah. All right. Try it again. Go. What are you working on, Ron, that you got your compilation working? This is not promising. We have no tray icon right away. Boo. I don't think it worked. There's Docker. Sitting pretty, doing nothing. Sad. You can tell it tried to do something. Like, here's the process in the last minute. A little spike. And it's like, nope, well, I'm not going to do anything. Why do you hate me, Docker? All right, let's see if we can find some logs. Whoa, Ron, I don't have any clue what you're saying there. Formation flight on a Celtic LoRa device? You're like speaking Greek to me, man. I mean, I hope it's fun, but no clue. Oh, RC planes. Nice. Nice. Okay. Where are Docker desktops logs? Logs, there we go. So let's go there. Library, logs, Docker desktop. Logs, Docker, oh really? Nothing. Okay. That's one location. There was also container. These contain logs for the application itself. Okay, that might be what we want. Library, containers, com, Docker, data, VM. Okay, slightly different directory from what was put there. All right, let's page through this, see if there's anything here. System telemetry, yada, yada, yada. Maximum number of file descriptors is absurdly huge. There's no way that's the real thing. Okay, pinging, this is telling. Pinging VMnet D, like that was what that issue report was complaining about. Let's look at the other log and see if there's anything in that one. Same thing, just replicated. All right, let's go back to this. See what we have here. We need to reinstall. remove. So this might have been. We didn't stop these things. So it could have been. But this is what stinks is like, I just rebooted this machine. Why is this coming back? Or we have to like, maybe there's like a corrupt one here with this vmnet D thing that's not working right. All right, let's stop this and follow this now. I thought I've tried this before though, and I'm afraid it didn't work. But I'll do it again. I do have a different upgraded version of the operating system now. Let this go away. Docker's done there. In fact, let's check out backend shutdown after signal. Good. All right, so we know, I think that shut down pretty cleanly. And then, oh, I had this somewhere already, didn't I? Whatever. Let's go over here. Did I call it something? Docker-y? No. Okay. We'll call this Docker cleanup shell. Paste it in. It's bash shell. So it's doing basically a lot of things we've been doing. But the difference is it's doing this launch control thing that we were not doing. And then it will clean up that. And then it's going to try and reinstall the tools. So I'll do chmod plus x on that file. And then try Docker cleanup. And I need to plug in a password. Boot out failed. This lines up with what seems to be not working. Boot out failed. It's lined up with the vmnet D thing. Now I'm afraid, okay, this is where this script was not great because it kept running. Didn't have the set attributes at the top. I should have paid more attention to that. So we probably killed some directories here. Well, then copied them back in, copied in new ones. So I bet there's probably, let's take a look at this directory, see if it's there now. It should be. Yep. All right, so those things are there. Let's see if anybody else has boot out somewhere in here. Boot out, because it was boot dash out, right? Yeah. Do a Google search for this. Boot. What? Load everything. Boot out. Maybe it's on page 2. Okay. This page is not very useful. All right, y'all. I think I'm ready to throw in the towel on trying to get Docker working. Let's give Rancher a try. I'm feeling stubborn tonight, but I'm like running out of ideas on this. So let's go back to Rancher. Docker is required to be installed. All I want is Docker. Rancher install Docker. Okay, give me a real version number. It's a weird way to display this. Because you can, so I've used, like I said, I use Rancher at work. It's like a Docker alternative. It has Kubernetes features, but you don't have to use them. Those are like extra. So it can run a Docker daemon and be essentially a drop-in replacement. And so the question is, why don't they have like a command of the latest one to install? That's what blows my mind here. So if we try to go to the GitHub page, will they have something in the README? So they've got a version here. Go to their install page. They're going to dump me right back here, aren't they? Docker install. Why are they making this so hard? Yeah, the quick start, like, I don't know what their quick start does not seem like. It's like for different vendors. I'm looking for, and that's probably for that's probably down to the fact that it's supposed to be like a Kubernetes tool. So here's the version. So this is a Docker run, but this assumes you have Docker. So that's the problem. It's like the whole point is to get Docker. I think what I want is the install page add here. So we want to take this. I think what I want to do is paste it and then delete the version number bit and do, what it was, a v2.10? Is that what they said? v2.10.2? I don't know. I don't know what's going to pass here. What? Syntax error. Oh, specified. Okay, that was not a valid one. So can we go open this page? Yeah. That was not a real page. Maybe this will be an index page though. Come on, y'all. Why are you making this so stinging hard? Let's try this. Nope. How about drop the V. 2.10.2. Dang it. That's so crazy they don't have like an example of their command. Like this is the stupidest junk I've seen all day. Support matrix. What is this? Crazy matrix. Yikes. Mac OS. Mac OS. Nope. Well, that is bonkers. Brew search rancher. Can I get this from Brew? I can get the rancher cask. Brew info rancher. Is this it? Or is this a different tool? Make sure I'm not like installing something that... Rancher desktop. Well, maybe this is the thing that I intended to install and I just ended up with the wrong spot. Okay. All right. Well, that's definitely the right icon. I think we're on the right path. Oi. I'm running up on 2 hours already, so I'm going to give this like another 15 minutes or so. And I will not be here next week. I'm out of town for a business meeting. So I won't be able to stream next week, but the week following that I should be back. And assuming that I actually get some of this stuff deployed, you can pause on this and play around with Crew AI or some of those other tools that I referenced, and see how Ollama plays, and just kind of work through some of that, get some experience with doing some AI stuff. That'd be fun. Okay, let's try it out. Here we go. Rancher, desktop. Any luck, will be more successful here. That's already done. Let's go back to Finder. We have 2 of these open for some reason. I thought I removed Docker. Or I guess I tried it again. Whatever. Rancher desktop. Yep. Welcome to Rancher desktop by SUSE. They're a Linux distro. Thank you, SUSE. We don't want Kubernetes. And we do want the Docker daemon. Rancher desktop edits your shell profile for you. Ooh. I don't know that I want that. Restart any open shells for it to take effect. What? I don't know. I'm going to say manual, and then we'll look at RD bin and see what they put in there. Okay, so I think it's starting Docker daemon. I'm gonna wait for this little icon to change to something. Or is it already online? I don't know. Over here. Docker PS. We don't. What's your deal? Okay. Not been added to the path. Do you need this to run? Well, let's go find out what's in there. Oh, okay. So this is where they put all like the actual Docker commands. Oh, interesting. Well, in that case, let's go to my dot files, and we're gonna open up CSH RC, and we'll come down here, and what do I want to put on here? Let's do this. We'll put we'll just put it on here. Fine. RD bin. Oh, okay. Now it thinks it's running though. I didn't change that. I'm gonna try the Docker PS again. All right, it just took a little while to get going. Wow. Okay. Maybe this is now working properly. Although, I bet if we do over here, probably not gonna, because it's not gonna find Docker buildx. So it's probably gonna fail until I have that path modification. So let's start closing some of these tabs. There's too many. So we've got a Ollama model, we'll use that later. We're not doing anything with that. We're not doing anything with LM Studio and the Crew AI. We've got the documentation. We will leave some of that stuff. Man, there was just so much garbage we had to go through here. Okay. I think we're good. I think we're good. So, I feel good about this change. I think we can merge it. So let's merge it so that we're running from main before we try and deploy that. Let's go back to our code repository and go back to the main branch. And we'll pull that. We should be able to, I mean, just for funsies, we can run the tests, see that they work. They're the new code path. Why does Python want to look at my network devices? What are you doing? Guess? Sure. So everything passed. We should have Kamal available. And the moment of truth here, I bet this is going to fail. I bet if we do Kamal deploy, it's going to try and build and just say, nope, sorry. It is going to prompt me for my 1Password password. So I'm going to, once that comes up, I'm going to put on my secret screen for a minute, put in the password, and let it continue. Because it has to do that to unlock and get the registry password as part of the build process. So let's try that. So Kamal deploy. Okay, so I'll be right back. So I'm going to put in that password now, and I'm typing that in, and I'm hitting authorize. And so 1Password is now authorized, and I'll bring this back. So I think this step is going to fail. I mean, the fact that it's not doing anything yet is maybe indicative that something's going wrong. Yeah, John, I saw it. I suspect, yes, it did. I was quite trusting with that Python process. But I noticed it was from the PyTest execution. It was pausing on that test. Now, maybe it means there's some like network activity in my test suite, which would be a little strange. There shouldn't be, but what is going on there? So, I remember I did. So there are some things that have changed. I have upgraded my operating system here. So it could be that 1Password CLI is not happy right now. How do I check that? Let's take a look at the secrets file. So we have, how do I look at this without sharing something that I absolutely should not be sharing? All of these things, they are secrets. So they're okay to show here. So I think what I need to do is do this and hope I don't print out the registry key for this stream. So we're going to do op read, and I'm going to take this. I'm going to have to, before I copy anything, I'm going to move to the secret screen. So secrets, you can hopefully all still hear me. I'm copying that path string. I'm pasting it to the op read, and I'm doing it there. It immediately, so it did work. Op read worked. I don't know why it didn't work with Kamal. So I'm going to clear the screen so you can't see that anymore and then bring this back. I'm going to try Kamal deploy again. And it's already cached the authorization, so now it's going in there. This is where what I might do next is put this in a new terminal. Could be that what's manifesting as an unauthorized is really, oh nope, there it goes. I don't know what happened there. That was pretty weird. So this is promising. We've got we're on Docker. We've got Docker build X going. I presume it's able to get that from either from Rancher or the Brew stuff. Oh, didn't we uninstall on Brew? I don't know where it's getting this stuff from. I think did I save over here? So maybe the fact that I saved this and it was launching in a sub process, and I don't know. I'm confused. I don't know how it's getting access to these binaries. But it is working. So we're about to deploy. And the way that we can validate this in the end is I'll be able to go to the School Desk app site and see if it shows up on the other side. We might get a failure. I suspect that the oh crap, what's it called? Kamal has Kamal proxy. It's very simply named. Periodically wants to update if it hasn't been updated in a while. That requires a second or two of downtime, and so it will report that if I've not updated a site. So that happened recently to me with a community site that I run for my local tech community. It also happened on Journey Inbox last time we tried to deploy it. It got through all this process and it said like, nope, you have to upgrade your proxy first. So it was like a proxy reboot command. We'll do that if we need to. Then we'll rerun the Kamal deploy portion. And assuming everything goes well, we should be able to look at the output and then call it a night. While it's going, if you don't mind giving me a thumbs up, that would be greatly appreciated. Or there's also tons of other ways you can support me. But definitely giving a thumbs up and okay, is the easiest way. Well, segmentation fault is not cool. That is like the worst. Oh, crap. So what seg faulted? Why would you seg fault? Well, that's awful. Because this is like, now we're talking... Now we're talking what? A problem at the NPM binary level? Just want to make my front-end assets. What happened? Okay. Notice it is running through Rancher Desktop. So it's definitely something different. That could be part of the problem. It could be we have a cache that needs to be cleaned. What's the way to clean a Docker cache? Wow. How do I clean the Docker cache for images? Like Docker image prune, something like that. Docker images. This is my fear, is like the build kit thing might be designed to work with Docker desktop and maybe is not working right. And it caused some kind of weird segmentation fault for NPM because of some caching behavior. Docker. I don't want to delete like everything, I don't think. Let's see, if we deleted everything, what would we lose? We'd lose containers, images, volumes. We could periodically run this anyway. Docker's a hog. I'm okay running this. And then we'll get it back and it's fine. Yeah, we're gonna do all that. Oh, is going on? Okay. Still running local bin Docker. Well now, okay, what is this? Local bin Docker. That's not Homebrew anymore. What are you? Are you Docker desktop? Are you Docker from... Huh? Okay. So cd to which... I can't just do this, can I? I can't do that. Not gonna work. It's a directory. Or it's a binary. User local bin. What is this? The Docker app has all this stuff. Oh. Interesting. Okay. So guess we remove Docker again. Okay. And it was rmrf just applications Docker, right? Now if we list this, those now point nowhere valid, which is kind of bad news. They're still here though. That sucks. This is this is where we would get the benefit of having like the actual, or maybe we did remove Docker and it's now running some stuff that's not right. I don't understand what's going on here. Yeah, I'm playing with fire here. Okay. I'm gonna remove all these things except for the Ollama one. Docker star, hub tool, Kubernetes star. Okay. I'm gonna open yet another terminal. We're going to go back to the path there. Koshik, I'm trying to deploy my project. My project deploys with Docker using Kamal. And my app has a homeschool application. That's what I've been building. We did some changes to the sign-in flow, and we're trying to get it deployed. But my machine has been having a bunch of trouble with Docker itself on this version of Mac OS for some reason. So we switched to Rancher, and we're getting a bunch of problems along the way. So if I do Docker PS now, and if I look at which Docker now, I should get, yeah, now I'm getting it from Rancher Desktop. I got that 7 minutes ago. Okay, so I want to try Kamal deploy from here. And hopefully it's using all the right processes now. And we'll just do the right thing, we hope. And not seg fault. That's crazy. No problem. Glad to help bring you along a little bit. Okay, so here we're back in our build process. Going through the steps. Please do not seg fault at this stage. That would be so dumb. Boom, boom. This is where it seg faulted last time. Seg fault. What the heck? Well, that's terrible news. Okay, so Kamal needs to like do a kind of a clean on something, clean out caches. If I do Docker images here, okay, we have the, okay, let's try and get rid of the build kit here. So Docker remove image Moby build kit. Okay. Moby build kit, buildx, stable 1. What do you want from me? Must force their container using it. Docker PS. We have that container that started 9 minutes ago, so we're gonna do docker stop. I think it's stop. Might be remove. I can't remember. So we're stop that. So docker PS should be nothing. Now we can do the docker remove on the image. Why? It's referenced by using its referenced image. What? Docker images. Yeah, that's the image ID. Is it this thing that I need to remove? Docker RMI ID. Image is used by a stopped container. Okay. Docker remove the container. I don't know. Good grief, why is this so hard? Okay. So we have no images. We have no process containers running. So now Kamal, when it does a deploy, shouldn't have any caches to rely on. It will need to go get the Moby build kit image, which you see here is from 3 weeks ago. My hope is what's happening here is that we got this build kit image. It was actually for something about it was from Docker desktop, only compatible with that, and that it just didn't work with Rancher. That by doing this again, we'll hopefully get a clean build that will not segfault. If not, I'm gonna have to call it for the night and then maybe do a deploy on a different machine and bang my head on what to do in the future. So it's gonna go and authorize this again. This time I think it will hopefully have to make a new image. If it doesn't make a new image here, okay, we didn't have to authorize apparently. Koshik, I think I'm not. There's maybe a little bit more context this I needed. Is abstractly I could describe to you about upgrading packages, but I don't know that that's helpful for what you are looking for there. Yeah. Okay. Cached a bunch of that stuff again. I think it's going to fail in the same way. So we have to do something that will force it to bust its cache. And I don't know where it's getting these images from because there's nothing there. Right? We have one. What's going on? Kamal, help deploy. Is there a clean option? Or a build, is there a Docker buildx clean? Docker buildx. Create, dial, inspect, ls, prune. Buildx, prune. Let's try that. Yes. 0 bytes. What the heck? Docker buildx ls. Docker build Docker trying to think if running a clean operation, like if I can get a build out of this. Yeah, thanks, Ron. I was drawing a blank on what the flag name was. Docker build, no cache. I'll have to give it a tag, right? Tag, local. I don't know. What? I didn't do Docker build X. Docker build X. Build requires one argument. I didn't give it build X. What's happening here? Which Docker? Docker? Build X build. Tell me more. Okay. No cache. The local. What am I doing wrong? And why is it assuming that I want to use build X? That's weird. You have a, oh, I see. So you have a security thing that's not supported. I mean, so there's a couple of paths there of like, is it not supported because you have other dependencies you need to update? In which case you have to like work backwards and potentially go update those other dependencies. That's one path. And if you did that, like it might be more work, like especially if you find like, oh man, I have to upgrade this framework and I can't do that. So that's one way. Another way is you could say, well, you know what? I can't afford. I don't know who you're writing this for, so I'm just making some assumptions. Another path is I can't afford to upgrade this library. Let me go and, go upgrade whatever other libraries are blocking me. So let me go and fork this library and make the change. I'll make a change myself in the code that's affected such that it no longer is a security vulnerability. It's another path. One path that I've used before is you realize that while security vulnerabilities exist, they are not equally applicable to all use cases. So if you look at your package and you read the details of the security vulnerability, and you look at the code, you might see like, you might discover, hey, my use cases for my application never use this vulnerable part of the package. So even if there's not a more updated version that's fixed or something you can go with, maybe you're not impacted. That requires some careful analysis on your part. And if you do that, then at that point you can there's a way with this Dependabot security stuff to ignore them. Say like, I think it's in the system. You basically click there and say, I want you to ignore this. Here's why, and you can document that. So that's a path there. Okay, I'm bothered by why this is not working. So I probably have Docker compose build commands here in the history. Let's see. Ah, gosh, what is going on? So there should be some like Docker build from way up here. Oh, I'm being dumb. Okay, I need to use a dot. Okay, Docker build, yeah. Docker build, give it a tag. I'm gonna call it homeschool, and local will be my tag. But I need to tell it I want to build this Docker file that's here. Okay, that's the right path. Now I want to say, now I want to go and do the no cache option that Ron was talking about. So that will flush out whatever images were part of what I was previously getting. Now, sadly, this is a lot of data. I'm on a better connection though, and previous streams, this is where the stream quality went and really tanked. But I've made some changes, and hopefully we'll not experience this. And hopefully this will solve whatever seg fault was happening, because now we're building this not through, like, all of this process is running through Rancher Desktop. So we're running it through a different system. If it's still seg faults, that's problematic. It means that there's something maybe wrong with the version of the node image that I have with Rancher Desktop, and that would not be good. Ron, the connection is like, it's maybe 60 or 70 down now. The challenge is, like, I'm in the basement of my home and my router is 2 floors up. And so what I did, what's it dramatically improved the speed of this stream, the quality, was I installed a repeater on the first floor, and that helped a lot. So previously I didn't have that repeater, and when it started downloading heavily here to get all the images, it was just atrocious. Okay, well, that looks promising in that we got through that Docker build. It downloaded all that stuff pretty quickly. And it didn't seg fault, so maybe we'll try again. Yeah, that's Koshik. That's a tough situation when you're in, like, I have to upgrade this package, but this package no longer. I've experienced this before with, like, with Django, for example. So, company that I work for had a big Django monolith. It didn't for a long time prioritize upgrading to the latest Django. So there was a time period at which the team had to work on upgrading to these bigger versions of Django, and this was back before Django upgrades were easy. In the 1.x series, so like upgrading from Django 1.6 to 1.7, 1.7 to 1.8, 1.8 to 1.9, those were tough because of how it was structured. There was a lot more change back then. And so we would get in these security bugs, and it's like whoever implemented it would put the security bug, but it would only work on some later version of Django. And that was when that situation where I think in those cases that was where we did the path where I talked about we would fork a library, and we had our own internal package repository. You can install via Git if you had to, but you'd essentially get the code separately, find the vulnerable code that's in question if you have no other choice, and then either comment it out, change the behavior somehow so it avoids the problem if you're impacted. So if there's not an easy solution here, that's the tough part. Yeah, Ron, I wish I could run. I did not when I so we built this house, and I did not have them, foolishly looking back, I did not have them wire the house for certain Ethernet stuff. I also did try. I didn't try Mocha, but I did try Ethernet over power. So I have a coax plug over that way, but I think with the setup of my cable that it wasn't right on the right connection. I don't remember anymore. I've been pretty happy with the repeater setup. It was probably the best, like, $25 that I spent in the last year or two, at least certainly for this stream. Okay, let's try doing Kamal deploy again. With any luck, now that we've done a clean with this build, maybe we're that we'll get through this without a seg fault. Don't know though. If we get a seg fault, I'm mystified. Gonna doing all this stuff cached again. Do I have to Maybe there's a way I need to specify no cache on the deploy. I think it's going to break again. Yep. That's really not cool. Crud. So Kamal has a bunch of commands. Build the application. So let's do Kamal help build. Is there a no cache option on there? Do they proxy that? So we've got Kamal build help deliver. Nope. Kamal build deliver. Again, it's just gonna run right. Its problem is running through all these cache stages. Okay, let me do something where I bust the cache. That could help. So there are probably better ways to. Yeah, that's what I was just looking for. If there's a way I could pass in like no cache to Kamal build, but I don't think so. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to our Docker file and bump something. We've got node 18. Maybe we can go bigger. Let's try it. Hub.docker.com. Let's go look at what node version is out there. Node. What are the tags we have here? Oh man, we're like way behind. 23, 20. Jeez. Okay. So what is my package, my npm file? This might be a problem. So we're on the node 18 engine. We might need to do two things. So I want to do, let's try bumping it up to node 19. I could go higher, but I'm just gonna giving myself more opportunities in case I need to bust the cache again and again. So we'll do that, and then we'll do 19 here. That will absolutely get a new image. So from that, Janae, welcome. We can do a Docker build with no cache. I don't even think we need to specify no cache for, well, I guess for the Python stuff we would, but this is the npm portion will have to get a new image. So we'll do this. And that should go get, we'll see a new pull here for node 19. There it is. Now, this build, the Docker build here, did not fail earlier, whereas the Kamal deploy one did. So this is where I'm speculating that the cache is what's at play. I would much rather clear the cache and not have to also be upgrading the node version. But that's why I'm doing this test. Is like we had proof positive that the node 18 version worked with this Docker build. So if it works with the build, the node 19 version, then I feel like we can confidently get through the build process. And then that would give me some confidence when we're doing the deploy. This is looking pretty good. It's already got through the front end build part. Okay, so let's go ahead and mark that. We'll say bump node version, I guess. Bump node.js to 19.x. Way behind, probably. Although JavaScript moves so fast, I don't know. Maybe it won't not as far behind as I think. Okay, we can then. Oh, junk. Is there GitHub stuff I need to be concerned about? No, I don't think we do any building of JavaScript stuff on GitHub. Let's push that up. If it fails, I'll check that in a minute. Let's try the command deploy again. So now we won't be using that cache for sure. If it's still seg faults, I don't know, man. All right, there we have clear evidence it's going to get node 19 right here. It's funny, what do you plan for? Like this evening, I was hoping we'd like get this deployed in 5-10 minutes, get some stuff done on the onboarding changes that we could feel good about, and then go play with Crew AI or something. And none of that happened. Oh well. All right, moment of truth. Don't blow up here. Don't do it. Don't do it. Oh, I almost thought it made it. Presentation, thanks for subscribing. Oh, cool. Janae, I'm glad that worked out for you. That's awesome. Okay, let's what do we do? Yeah. Good grief. I mean, what could be happening here? Like we could have bugs in Rancher desktop, but they could be associated with like a certain image build. Like maybe because everything okay, let's review this output log for a minute. We've got a bunch of stuff that seems fine. Well, maybe most of it was cached. So it might not be as fine as I would hope. All because Docker doesn't freaking want to work on this Mac. That's just nutty. All right, last ditch effort is we're going to go for the Hail Mary, and we're going to go for seeing if we can get the latest node on here. Because my operating model right now is that something about Rancher Desktop is not compatible with the node image, something that way. But I'm still confused on the aspect of like we're able to get a Docker build working. So it's almost like the buildx stuff is the problem, and that something about the isolation is what's causing this. So this may not do anything, but at the very least, John, good question. For the Docker stuff, so it shouldn't matter if I've installed node from brew or not, because this is happening inside of a Docker build image. So it's going to get the image from somewhere and running node in that context. So local brew or local node or not should hopefully be irrelevant. But it's a good thought. So let's go here. Let's try this. We're gonna do a couple more builds, and then we will give up. And then I will deploy on a laptop to get this feature out and continue to bang my head on this later. Okay, so Docker. We're gonna do build T. Let's call it, for the sake of having a new tag, we'll call this local 23. Most of these should be cached images, so there's not much to build here, but should be evidence that now we're getting the node 23 image. Thankfully, it's just probably some layers on top of the previous one. It's going through all that. it's already done with the front end run. Did this? I mean, I'm cool with that if Node is getting faster. That's very exciting, but also surprising. Okay, so great. I have to commit this stuff in order to make Kamal work. It doesn't like working with a dirty tree. It doesn't want to do that. It's just make sure that you don't have something in your local tree that's causing the problem. So the reason I'm committing is because in the process of, and we can see this in the Kamal deploy output. I'll point it out. It creates a temporary directory, does a git clone into that directory, then uses Docker buildx against that git clone output to give it like essentially a pristine set of files to work from. So let's bump this up. So upgrade Node.js to 23.x. Neato. I guess we're getting some side benefits here. John, I'm curious of your thought on why you think Xcode might play a factor. You might be right, but I'm curious as to why you think that. Okay, Kamal deploy. Last time, I really gotta call it after this one. Coming up on 3 hours. And while that's running, Docker uses Xcode. Okay. Kamal deploy no cache. Builder, but do. Context arguments. It might be like a pass through. Ron, yes, I think I'm pretty sure I have deployed from this machine. I've gone through some updates. Like I said, this is so weird. Like the behavior of this is like, one day I came in and turned on the machine, and macOS decided it like hated Docker. That Docker is malware. What? That's when I did all that research, found out all that stuff we just saw about VNetD and all that other stuff, and that whole dance that we tried to do to get past that. And yeah, it hasn't worked since then. Okay. What's the Xcode update thing? Is it Xcode select? Is that what it is? I want to say it is. Not reset. Xcode select install, isn't that right? Are already installed. Software update. Oh man. All right. So look at settings. Right? Nope. Not that. What is it? Like app, right? App something? App Store. Yeah, I kind of like would expect that. Well, maybe it's here. Develop. Xcode. Okay. So here's what I'll do. I will update Xcode. I'll try it again. Maybe there's something weird going on. Might have to reinstall some more stuff. I would hope to get back to a point where I can actually like just use Docker and not use Rancher and not deal with segmentation faults on stuff that should just work. But I guess one more thing maybe before we do that is like maybe, just maybe, this will proxy this thing. So if we do Kamal deploy and we say no cache, will it proxy that argument? Nope. All right, Kamal help deploy. Is there a way to like pass it through? Put it in a config file. Do we see have any results over here? Deploys using the wrong image. Yeah, Ron, as far as I know, the dot tells it to use, like, look in the local directory for a Docker file. Small configuration. This is one of the downsides of using a newer tool. It's like I can't. It's a harder thing to search for. Yeah. All right, y'all. I think my brain is baked. So that'll be my plan. Do Xcode. I will try and get Docker working again, offline maybe. But this clearly didn't work out finally in the way we wanted it to. At the very least, I've got the code merged. I can go deploy that on a different machine that does work with Kamal that I have had success deploying with, and go that way. So thanks, Ron. Thanks for the encouragement. Thanks for all for sticking around and with all those suggestions. Appreciated that. Thanks for joining in. I'm gonna sign off here, and if you do me a favor and leave a thumbs up if you haven't already. Like I said, I'll be back in a couple of weeks, and we'll get back to it. Would like to take a really good long detour into some agent stuff. Play around with some tutorials, see agents in action. I think that'd be fun, and a good little diversion from doing SaaS stuff. Not that I'm tired of working on SaaS, but I want to use this stuff in the SaaS in my real life. My day job was a SaaS product that I can't really talk about much, but I can do the exploration on the AI topics here, and it's kind of fun to explore together. So with that, I'll bid you all a fair evening or a fair morning. I don't know where you all are, but have a great day. I'll catch you later.